everybody, and welcome back to another figure review. I am extremely excited to open this figure today. I just got it today from the post office, and I am so excited, so excited to open it. As you can see, we are reviewing today the Kotobukiya Worick Arcangelo 1/8 scale figure. If you guys don't know already, I absolutely 100% love Gangsta. It is like my favorite series of all time so far. I've cosplayed my femme version of Worick already, and I own every single manga that has been released already as well. So I am over the moon excited to get to opening this figure. So let's talk about the boxing first. This figure box is by no means extremely attractive or special in any way. It's kind of very plain. The only thing that I find really sticks out to me is that some of the blood spatter on the top and the wording looks very much like the manga style. So I mean, if you read the manga, you'll notice that, and that's a really nice touch. But the only other thing that really catches my eye with this box is the gunshot hole style. Other than that, the box is nothing extremely special. So I ended up pre-ordering this figure immediately from AmiAmi when I knew it was going to be released. I got it for, I believe, around $108 Canadian, and shipping, I think, was about $40 or $50, but I decided to go with EMS shipping this time around, and the EMS shipping actually arrived in about 2 or 3 days, so that was very quick. The other thing I do want to mention is that I was not charged customs for this figure. Part of me thinks that I was supposed to get charged for customs because the slip that they leave in your mailbox was checked off for customs, but regardless, I wasn't charged for them. I didn't pay anything for customs, so I might be owing Canada Post some customs, I might not. So like most figures, obviously it does come with an inside sleeve, so you can take photos. Again, the inside sleeve for this figure is very plain. It just has the simple Gangsta logo on it, and a very simple kind of brick pattern on the bottom there, so it's nothing super special. So the biggest thing I'll actually be interested to see about this figure is the quality. I have not purchased any other Kotobukiya figures before this one, so it'll be very interesting to see the quality in comparison to figure companies like Alter and Good Smile and that sort of thing. Holy Lord. There he is. Alright, so this is the full figure right here of Worick. He does come in one full piece. You can't remove him from his base, from what I understand. Yeah, there's not even screws on the bottom, so he is molded to his base, and you don't have to add anything else to him. The one thing that actually strikes me right away that I notice about this figure, and maybe it's just me, but I kind of find his proportions are off a little bit. In comparison to his head and his upper body, his legs look incredibly big. I mean, that might be how they are in the series. I don't really look at the proportions, but they seem pretty regular in the series, manga or anime. And his feet and legs are massive compared to his head. His head looks a lot smaller compared to his body. So that's one thing that kind of strikes me off the bat, and it kind of disappoints me a bit because I mean, I want a proportionate figure. So taking a look at the figure itself, for any flaws on arrival, I don't notice anything that really stands out to me. I don't notice any scratches or paint or any dust that's out of place. I actually don't notice any color run on this figure either, at least for myself. So two things that really made me extremely want to buy this figure is, one, the pose itself. It is very in character and very much like Worick. I mean, he's holding that gun in a very dynamic, leaned back stance. The one thing about the pose is that he isn't leaned back excessively, so it's just enough that it still looks possible and not ridiculous, but it's just enough that it does give it that extra flair. The second thing that really enticed me to buy this figure was actually the base. It is a very interesting base if you look at it closely. It really does take the concept of the series Gangsta, that it's in a city where there's dirt roads and a lot of rubble and sort of like damaged things on the ground. So I mean, you have a broken pipe, you have damaged wall with actual rebar coming out of it, and just the shattered ground in itself makes for such an interesting figure base. So that is one of the main things that I absolutely adore with this figure. Alright, so like I mentioned, I don't see any color run throughout the figure itself, but based on the colors themselves, I mean, Worick's outfit is very simple, just basic like black and dark blue shirt. Overall, what I like about the paint job, or at least the sculpt of the figure, is you don't lose the details in the black areas. In the pants on Worick, you could see where he would have his zipper for his pants, the pockets, both on the front and the back. You also see the seam that would be going down the sides and all the wrinkles and where his knees would bend and where his pelvis would be bent as well. So I mean, that just kind of blows me away, especially for Kotobukiya. I was not expecting kind of that much detail. I was expecting a little less. And also in the jacket itself, you see all of the sort of the wrinkles where his sleeves are rolled up. And on the shirt itself, there's also some shading, so it gives it that extra depth that really makes this figure a little more better than what I was expecting overall. The other thing that really makes me happy to see is that they included for Worick some actual hair paint marks on his arms, his chest, and actually his face and his stomach. So obviously, if you guys know the series Gangsta, Worick is considered quite hairy. He does have a lot of hair on those parts. And the fact that Kotobukiya did take the time to put those small paint marks on to give it that extra detail is so nice to see. It's really refreshing to see that they took this character to every detail. I feel like Worick without those paint marks, without those hair paint marks, would be really plain and really disappointing. So congrats to you, Kotobukiya. I mean, you really nailed that part. The only thing where I will say the color in this figure does lack is more so in the hair. The hair is kind of a more monotone color. I mean, it's that dark sandy blonde, which Worick does have, and it's good that they kept that color. But I find there's not very much shading going on. It's not the best paint job on his hair in general, but I mean, if you look far enough away, it looks okay, but if you were to look closer up, it wouldn't be the most extravagant hair paint job. I'm honestly so blown away by some of the details that are in this sculpt. The one thing that really stands out to me are actually Worick's muscles. If you look close enough, you can see in his arms where the tendons would kind of pop out when you're like in a extreme pose and you're really tense. They also have, if you look really closely up his shirt where it's open, you can see the outlines of some abs going on there. And also you can see where his pecs are at the top of his shirt. The only area where the seams of this sculpt really stick out is actually where Worick's like bangs come forward and where his ponytail is pulled back. You do have that classic ridge where they basically took his bangs and stuck them on the front. A lot of people I saw on the internet weren't too keen with Worick's face sculpt, as well as I believe Nick's face a little bit. It seemed a little awkward and a little ugly looking almost. And looking at it now, I mean, there are aspects of it that kind of look weird. But if you know the series and you know how the author or mangaka Kosuke draws, you know that she really puts in the detail and dramatizes everybody's expressions. There's always very deep lines, especially when they show a lot of emotion in their face. And Worick is obviously showing a lot of emotion. He's almost like scrunching his face so that he can focus out of his one visible eye so that he can shoot off into the distance. The other thing that also strikes me about his face is that his eye patch is not painted on. It is actually sculpted on in separate pieces, including the patch itself and the elastic strings that would go around his ears. And kids, close your ears if you don't want to hear this, but I fucking love this figure. I am so excited and happy to have this in my collection. I already have Nick pre-ordered for next month, and I'm very excited to have the two together. If you guys have any questions or comments about this figure, don't forget to leave them in the comments down below, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!